Well, I would have known that had I not got booted.
All right, we're back up now. Let's see how long it lasts.
No, really, I just thought I'd stop and see if anybody else was having issues. And anyway,
So the problem.
Nah, but like the Windows, if it might be more compatible if you said the driver works only with a 21 driver, or that's all it's giving you.
Yeah, it's just too much speed. It's too much internet speed going into a driver that can't handle it.
It won't comprehend it. Yeah.
Need a hamster on the wheel with a Red Bull IV in his arm. Yeah.
You know, if you make the change to Linux, then, you know, all you have to do is learn how to code everything. It'll be fine.
Yeah, I think I'm just gonna go with this adapter. It seems like an easier fix to my problem.
I promise it is.
Yeah.
I'm not unhappy, but learning Linux and trading at the same time was isolating.
Man, I don't know. Linux now, though, it's some pretty user-friendly stuff they got now.
Yeah, it really is. But I also chose the hard way and went Arch Linux. But, you know, now I know some coding. So, yeah.
Because I was surprised. I was surprised I ran a Linux. I was just like, man, this is going to be so tough. And it was actually pretty easy. I had a guide to what to do because the only reason I ran it was to run this Cartesi node. And it just.
But,
and if that
I
didn't
can
work,
make
you'd have
it
to start.
media.
How do you start? You boot from safe mode by like pressing F1 or F2 while you started or something?
Yeah, the Linux boots through different bootloaders. Like my current one is Limine. And so if the screen doesn't pop up or it's not booting correctly, then like I have to go into the architecture or go into like, so I root in and use the terminal to figure out what isn't connecting and why. It can be numerous things. But I mean, like it took me a while to get, but now like I've got my system pretty stable. And what's nice is like I don't have to update anything if I don't want to. Obviously, like third-party apps, you know, Discord and stuff, it's can have compatibility issues if you don't, but like I'm not like forced to do anything, which I like. It's got benefits and its difficulties, but like yeah, I learned a lot about like how to set up my own VPN, and you know, everything is generally designed to not be like you are the commodity of
Don't know which way he wants to go here.
I don't know, but the Bitcoin daily is getting closer and closer to make a bullish engulfing.
Let's get the blast off, baby.
Very possible here.
6 hour. If you look at the 6 hour chart, it's interesting.
Bro, Shib's got bullish divergences on the daily or on like all the larger time frames.
I love the way the 6 hour looks.
Not
It's
the
just so
daily.
symmetric, such chaotic, unorganized confusion, but there's still some kind of symmetry, Fibonacci in it. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's got bullish divergence on the 3-day, the 5-day, and the weekly.
Yeah, Chib looks good.
Let's go Dogecoin. I'll be right back.
Hey, how about them bulls?
Here we go on Doge. Here we go.
Hey, don't stop here. Please don't.
When you hear, I'll be right back. You already know what that means.
The EMAs just magically appeared on my exchange. As soon as you said, I'll be right back.
I told you, if you hear that those words from him.
Hey, I like it, man.
I like when
I'm happy
Dr.
for you,
Phil
dude.
says, we'll be right back.
Been
Now we're
happening
going
like
to keep
that
it right here.
here.
I like that Dr. Phil's happy, you know? Seems like a happy guy.
On the 6-hour on Bitcoin, the moving averages are so tight. And like the 8-hour, the 4-hour.
Drew said if it got below 15.8, it would be bad, and it got to 15.804. Pretty crazy. Bitcoin's really still undecisive here, but
All right. Don't want to say it out loud, but it feels like we stabilized a little bit with the connection at least.
I agree.
You have your first little evidence of bullish momentum flip here on the 5-minute. You need one candle to confirm it. This shit's gonna range, man.
I mean, that's a good thing, right?
I guess. Just delaying the inevitable though. At some point tomorrow they'll trap shorts. But remember we said that there's still a possibility that they come after these buy orders to trap longs first. This sucks because we're 50-50. We're like smack dab in the middle. One of those wait and see, hurry up and wait scenarios.
Yeah, it's rough. I feel like last night it was kind of like that too.
It's do you believe or do you not believe? It's the moment when you flip a coin or roll the dice. You let fate take control.
No.
There was a couple big buys on Bitcoin, but then one big sell.
Yeah, we're about to invalidate the small bull flag here.
Yo, yo, what up, fellas?
What's going on, man?
What up, buddy?
What up?
What's everybody doing for dinner? Oh, it's past dinner time for most of y'all.
I was about to say, man.
It's your breakfast time, Dbloc.
I had some coffee for breakfast. So I'm working on lunch now.
There you go.
Watermelon.
Yeah, I had some hard-boiled eggs.
The juice. Out of hamburger earlier.
Have you guys seen the spread on Poly Market for ETH tomorrow at all?
No, what's it saying?
Hold on. You got under 2200, 22 to 300, 23 to 400, 24 to 25, and above 2500. We're at 25%, 23 to 2400, 59%, 2400 to 2500. And then the other one's sporadic.
Why wouldn't I just take the ETH trade?
Yeah.
I mean, Poly's fun for like, other shit, but at
Yeah.
that point, just short it or long it if you know.
Well, I didn't know what it was gonna do because they had all the Fed stuff tomorrow, and they're doing it right at what time was it? I think it was 12 p.m. Eastern time. So it could be a bunch of volatility tomorrow morning. But I don't know.
I feel like if I were gonna play their odds, I would rather just trade online, right?
Well, I heard they have some I don't know. I was just reading. I scanned through it. There's an article this dude made about 235 or I don't know 240K just off of throwing down on like obvious bets. Like super obvious. I guess you got to put a lot down. You don't get too much in return because I guess the odds are already in your favor. But by throwing a lot of capital down, and this dude was able to generate 237. I don't think he used more than like 400 or 500K, and he got 237 with like a. I gotta look into it. I gotta read the details though, see how much he really invested.
I mean, like,
Yeah, that would be
I
a
don't know.
50%. I mean, investment right there, return.
So
I know.
the way it works is you have to buy shares, and you can either buy yes for 15 cents, 60 cent, 26, or you can buy no for like 87 cent, 42 cent, 95.9 cent.
Right,
So
but
obviously this
it's a pooled bet, right? So like you're getting paid based off of how many people are betting yes or no. And like I get the attraction to that, but like I feel like I got probably better odds betting on sports and just throwing like $20 on like 20 leg parlay and making 20 grand. Yeah.
Right, but you don't have obvious things. So let's say because there's bets there. It's like, will there be a nuclear war by tomorrow, by next week, and they'll have a date. And the bet is that there's not going to be, and you're not going to get paid
Yeah,
out
that's
that
where
much.
poly
But if
makes sense. That's where poly makes sense.
yeah.
And if
Right,
those
if
kind
you
of
can
bets,
throw
there's
400 grand at that.
So if you
Safe
got
bets is
enough
like
weight
lower
to throw
level.
around, if you got enough weight to throw around at an obvious bet, I think it could be lucrative there.
That's what I
Yeah,
was saying. Throw down 10 grand or 100 grand, like throw down 10 grand to make 11 grand.
but like, okay, but like what if there is nuclear war and then you just threw
Well,
down
then
11
Yo,
it's
come
grand
on
and
now.
you lose
it's
and you
nuclear
lose?
Then you
war,
don't gotta
then who
then you
cares?
That
don't gotta
sucks,
worry
dude.
about then who cares about poly bets if there's nuclear war?
You guys
It's
shouldn't
like
be gambling anyways,
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. It's like
unless
it's
you
just I
already
don't.
made it. You shouldn't be gambling.
It feels like
Yeah,
like that's
Dbloc
like
is number one at that. If you're don't gamble, he's never
yeah.
gambled on this shit.
I'm also just not big on like somebody else making the bet. Like that's the house wins if like that's they're designed to win.
The real value in poly is the prediction, right? There's something different that happens when you survey a group of people, but there's money on it, right? All the bullshit is gone. You're putting your money where your mouth is. This is what the majority of people, So it's one of the best sort of like polls, right? If you look at it like a poll. And then for those events that there's no other way to make money on, that are sort of like sure things, you want to
Yeah,
tell
like
anybody what to do with their free time, but we're talking about putting 100K down on a bet. Like, I don't know what we're doing right now. You better have all the Bitcoin you need.
right, you better have already made it. But like Drew said, if it's an obvious bet and you throw 400 grand and you can make 237 on a guaranteed bet, that's
Well, yeah, I don't think those were the numbers. I think he had to do a lot of back and forth for it. I'm gonna go look for the article right now. But yeah, he threw a lot of weight, and it was all obvious bets, like basically things like that, like will there be a nuclear war within a week? And then when that week's up, there's no nuclear war. Bang, he gets a payout. Even though he put in a lot of money, he only gets a little payout, but he did so many of those.
Yeah, I guess Are there tax implications with that?
Yeah, of course.
Capital gains.
capital gains.
So like at that point, like
Just like
that's where it doesn't really make sense to me. Is if you're not making a lot of money off of it, then you're paying capital gains to accrue interest while locking up your funds that you could be using to trade. Right.
Some people like to gamble, man.
Yeah, fair enough. If you're doing it for fun, I don't know.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I like to gamble, and crypto kind of, soothes that itch. I consider crypto gambling.
Well, I wouldn't be doing it if I thought it was gambling, and you probably shouldn't look at it as gambling, because that means you're taking risks.
Of course, but I think me recognizing is gambling is protecting me by recognizing it's gambling.
I mean, everybody's got to hack themselves somehow, whatever works for your brain. But what we're doing here is not gambling. You can gamble in crypto. You can 1000% gamble in crypto. But what I'm trying to push here is not gambling.
And I
There's
feel you.
ways to do this and minimize risk. Let everybody else gamble, you know? Like I always refer to it as like the difference between between trading and trading full time is like going to the casino or working at the casino. Right? Like you go to the casino, you have a great time DJing with your friends, have a ball, have some drinks, make some memories, maybe make some loot, maybe lose it all, whatever. Working at the casino, you're coming into that same building that everybody else is coming into, but with a job to do. Right? So you can't afford to gamble. You can't afford to have fun. You can't afford to have the free drinks at the bar. Right? Like you're doing a job. Everybody else is just a tourist. That's how I look at it. Like the difference between doing this for a living versus just, you know, coming in to see what happens.
But like, you know, even long term, like even let's say, you know, Warren Buffett, he can, you know, the long term position's a gamble too, and he admits it, you know. So it's not necessarily like, you know, saying it's degenerate, but it's saying like, you know, walking outside is a gamble.
Everything comes with risk, right? But like, I'd rather if I'm gonna equate this anything to like gambling, I'd like to be like one of those professional, successful, and profitable poker players who goes in and, you know, plays well, he uses skill and doesn't sit at the wrong tables and makes money every night. Right?
Well, there's games
Or-
of games of skill, right? And then there's games of chance.
Yeah.
Right? There's a difference. So
Yeah, the
you
poker
betting
players go in as a job.
you betting that you have the skill to get something done isn't gambling. It's like if me and you get in a foot race and I say I bet you $100 I could beat you. That I'm not gambling, right? I have conviction in how hard I've trained. I think I'm faster than you. I'm betting on myself, right? If we go outside and we bet that the two dogs on the street, which one's going to get to the end of the block faster, that's gambling. You get what I mean? Like
No.
there's a
Well,
difference
they're
there.
both. I think it's both gambling, but one's just a little bit gambling with a better edge.
Well, the edge is what makes it not a gamble, right? So if you're trading and you don't have an edge, you're gambling.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I'm kind
And
of
a
taking
lot
it
of
as a
people do
literal
that.
sense,
A lot of
you know?
people just come in and, you know, but it would be the same way as gambling as that would be considered just as much gambling as if you started a business and bought a bunch of inventory. I said, I have faith that I can make this work. I have the skills that I need to make this work. I'm going to invest $100,000 and I'm going to take a bet on myself that I can be, right? It's just sort of the same sort of deal.
Yeah.
Because like I'm kind of looking at it as literally. So like it's the definition: an activity characterized by balance between winning and losing that is governed by a mixture of skill and chance. So they don't say kind of like how much mixture of skill and chance, but as long as that mixture's there, it could be considered a gamble. Like, you know, James Bond's a gambler.
By
he's
that,
gambling,
everything's
man.
gambling.
You're
Though.
really describing gambling though as risk.
By
It's
that, everything
everything
is
to a certain degree.
gambling. Any money that you spend expecting to make money off of it is a gamble at that point. If you're buying limited sneakers and trying to resell them, you're gambling.
Yeah, you're gambling on your capital.
Yeah. So if you buy an inventory full of computers for your computer store, you're gambling.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
If you buy real estate, you're
using
gambling. If you any business at all that you get into, I guess by that definition, you could
and that's
consider
why
it
it's
gambling.
good to go. And so that's why I think, in my opinion, it's good to step into these things knowing it's all risk, you know, and like it's all a gamble. Even that word kind of is taboo. It's
I
still, I
like the
think
word
that by
risk
me
over
saying that word,
gamble.
Yeah. When I go to work,
You're taking a
gamble
risk.
protecting.
You're definitely
when
taking
I go
a
to
risk.
work,
No,
When
I go
most
to
maybe I'm
people
work.
taking
refer
a
to
gamble because
gambling,
look,
they're talking
the
about
reason why
going
it's a
somewhere
gamble.
like a casino.
Well, you know if
the
you're
odds
gambling,
are
and
really easy.
I'm not trying to tell you you're not gambling. You know in your heart whether you're gambling or not. So I'm not trying to tell you
I'm
you're not
100%.
gambling.
I work a
I'm
dangerous
100%.
job, right? So when I go to work every day, there are tons and tons of risks. But because I'm a professional and I'm using awareness and critical thinking skills and communication right? I'm mitigating those risks, and
Right. Until you get punched in the face,
I'm
though,
reaping
right?
the reward. But I wouldn't consider it a gamble, right? And because every day
I
I
agree
walk
with
out
what
with a
you guys
check,
are saying,
you know what I
but
mean?
it's like
And
there's always. Yeah, I agree. But that
yeah,
risk of getting punched in the face, the risk of getting hacked, the risk of, a site going down the FTX scenario, Luna scenario. That's why it's like, the environment is still like, I treat this environment, even though it's much more sophisticated, I treat it the same way as I would step in a poker table.
yeah, I can understand that. It's high risk, right? High risk, high reward. So you do have to apply good risk mitigation. And I do understand also like there are a lot of people that have the perspective that everything is a gamble, therefore. But I think like what changes the dynamic between what's a gamble and um what's a skill, right? Uh is are you doing this taking the steps that you know that you can take to reduce wherever you can that risk uh to increase your professionality or your profitability, right?
Yeah, totally.
I mean, I have a gambling bug, right? By nature. I told you we used to sit on the stoop and bet what color car was gonna come down the block first. Like we used to gamble on absolutely everything. And when I first started trading crypto, it scratched that itch. Like you can't deny it. And nobody can tell you whether it does or not. You know whether you sit down at the computer and you start trading, whether it's scratching that gambling itch or not. Me, I had to set up rules to remove everything that scratched that itch, right? Which is why I don't trade leverage, why I don't do certain, you know what I mean? So as a gambler, I can tell you that when I trade the way I trade right now, it doesn't feel like a gamble. I don't get the buzz from it. I used to when I traded a different way. But right now, me personally, I don't feel that.
No, I agree with that, Dbloc, and you've instilled that in me since 2018, 2019 with that same leverage because I learned a lot through fucking leverage trading.
Well, when
Learned
I
my business.
trade memes, I'm gambling. When I go in and I trade memes, I'm specifically trying to scratch that itch. Like when I'm like, all right, let's degen, but I know I'm doing it. Like I'm aware that I'm doing it.
I don't think I would have stayed stuck around this long and been so interested in learning the skills and the indicators and charting and technical analysis and risk mitigation. Or I wouldn't have continued doing that, right? If I was okay with just this becoming gambling for me, because it could have been, like, definitely could have been.
Yeah, but all those things, risk mitigation and all the other things you said could pertain to a poker game also.
Yeah, and there's a difference between
Yeah, that's why people
who are
consider poker a game
gamblers.
of skill versus roulette, where it's a game of chance.
There's a difference between degenerate gamblers, right, and professional poker players, and sometimes they can be both. But like I've met guys that they pull in 20 grand a night on a regular night, and walk away from the table, and they don't go back, and like they'll come to the next casino and do it all again, and those ones also use risk mitigation and treat it as a job. So like they don't end up losing all their money betting on just one table, right? They're putting money away, putting it aside.
The problem is that
It,
you really need to know yourself, right? The reason that it matters, like I know this is just, we're just shooting the shit because we're not doing nothing.
it,
But the reason that the language matters is because if you're actually a gambler, like if you have a gambling addiction, you need to stay away from things that scratch that itch. Because the problem with gamblers is you're not addicted to the winning. You're addicted to the rush. And you get the
yeah.
same rush when you get wrecked. right? When you blow an account, it feels like shit, but it's that same rush. That's why, degenerate gamblers always win it all, lose it all, win it all, lose it all. It doesn't matter to them where it's going up or down. That's just a dangerous sort of, like, if you're susceptible to that, that's dangerous to do anything that sort of scratches that itch when it involves your money. Because, I mean, what are we doing? Unless you have all the money in the world, then, go ahead and knock yourself out. But
Yeah, you're right,
could
D-Block.
scratch that.
In the
It could
past
still
6 or
scratch
7
it.
years, we've seen more people come in here and gamble and not here anymore than the people who have strategically learned the charts and that, and they're still around. But we have seen more people come in here and gamble, and now they're not around anymore. You know what I mean?
yeah, pretty long list.
Very long list in this,
Oh yeah.
not this room, but our other room. You know what I mean? I mean,
Yeah, even in here, bro. Even in here, to be honest with you. I mean, not a lot of the OGs because we're already, but a lot of the new people that come in and they're super excited for a day or two, and you're like, be careful, and they're not listening, and then, one wreckage, two wreckages, I got it back, overconfidence, and then silence. And you just don't hear from them again.
right, which we've seen people have made it, by DeFi gambling or degening and have made it big, but 9 out of 10 people who have really degened in here have they're no longer here.
It's seductive, bro. That idea of changing your life in 1 or 2 plays, and then you start hearing examples of it happening, and then you just take the risk. It doesn't bother me when it's somebody that's young. Like, you expect it, right? You hear somebody come in and they're like crazy about memes, and you could tell, right? They're probably just like freshman year in college or something, going crazy with memes. Like, all right, cool. But then you hear somebody, it's like, close to retirement, sounds like, and their voice is all shaky, and they're talking about putting way too much money in shit that they shouldn't be, and it's just like, oh man.
Yeah, we've heard some sad stories.
You're right. You're right for real. And I've been in and out too, but I've made some, I've lost some, but I've know when to like step back for a little bit and then return. You know what I mean? But like we have seen some sad stories in here.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely know, especially when I was starting out, like I had to decide whether or not this is just going to be something that I did for the rest, or just that. Like, I'm an adrenaline junkie straight up, been an addict of all sorts of things. I know where this could have gone, right? Like very quickly, but I didn't want that, right? Like, if there's such a world beyond and just a skill set, and like this is something I'd like to be able to like pass down to the next generation.
I felt the same way. I was like, I'm not gonna do it with you. I do it with everything else, not this.
Yeah,
and then you still, you go, like, don't get me wrong, you want to scratch that itch, go have a night at the casino. Go, just don't mix these two things.
I mean, it's not like I don't get a rush when I'm up in a trade and I'm looking at those numbers, man. But like, that's also when like the other part of me kicks in and it's like, hey, look, like gotta secure these wins. And I've also gotten to the point where I work in a field where there's tons of adrenaline if I want to. Like I'm shooting fireworks in a couple days here,
So
like
you're
that's
good. You
more
get
than
your
enough
fix.
adrenaline.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know how to put that in a safe place, and because it's a job that involves other people's safety, like I, as much as it's a rush, like I am on my, I stay very aware for my own safety and for others. You know what I mean? So, and this is like another iteration of that in some sense. All of that's there. The reward, the high reward, the risk, all that's there. But uh, like my favorite part about it is like it improving my discipline, and this improves my discipline, and self improves my discipline in like every other aspect of my life too. And you know, so I'm grateful that I didn't just keep like, I don't know, crypto investing, not knowing what was really going on, you know, or it didn't seek out this information, or it didn't stumble upon, you know, your channel, right? Like I'd be probably a completely different person, still like watching these YouTubers and being like, man, I just don't, you know, feel this is legitimate, or like this person doesn't seem genuine to me, and I don't feel like I'm learning anything. And
Yeah.
this is a rare opportunity to me. Yeah, you don't find
Yeah.
stuff like this. Yeah.
Facts.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
scratches that itch for me. I can't lie, but I know after I like, you know, my port's down around 30%, and if I don't have a goal such as accumulating a coin that I think is going to have longevity, I know just to hit the stop. Like I used to do that mistake and be like, oh, I can work my way out of this.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's just like sometimes you end up 3 or 4 years trying to work your way out of it.
Yeah.
So I learned to not do that mistake again, even though it does scratch the itch.
Yeah, Drew, you've been around long enough now. Like, I mean, this community has changed my life. I mean, where I was able to, you know, go away for 2 years, take off work for 2 years, and then come, you know,
Hell
it's
yeah.
scratch my itch and then come back. You know, now I'm back. You know, it's just I was able to do that because of this community and because Drew, you and Dbloc have been around since, I mean, since I can remember. You know what I mean? So
Oh, is
you all
this
have.
Brad? I thought this is Brad, right?
Yeah.
It is. It is.
Okay, I had a feeling it was you. I haven't heard. Yeah, you haven't been on for a while.
Yeah, I was
It's been
able
a
to
Now I
take
saw
off
when I
for a
saw his
little
profile
while.
picture on his bike with his lady. I was like,
That-
that's
that's
Brad.
yeah.
Hey,
buddy.
you all have changed my life, man, for real, and I can't be more happier. And just you all have been here, and you're still here, and that's what every time I come back, man, you're still here. So that's what makes me. Now I'm back. So let's go.
Yeah, I'm not going
Let's go.
anywhere. I think Drew's going anywhere anytime soon. Unless he hits one of these
John.
lawsuits and just disappears on us.
Oh,
He's gonna win his lawsuit against the country of Romania and just disappear on a super yacht somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm telling you guys, July 1st, it's on, man. I'm doing it.
There's it. Yeah, it's cool too. Like I feel like I can, like you can kind of reprogram a lot of those things, right? Like that fire you get from being in a high paced, high, you know, high volatility trade into like a reward program that benefits you financially and otherwise, right? Like pretty cool.
What works for me, I have ADHD, so I have like dopamine deficiency. Right? Like executive function is all screwed up. But the superpower that comes from that is hyper focus. Right? So the way that I've worked my brain chemicals is a hyper focus on the charts. And the buzz that most get from gambling just sort of goes to fill my dopamine levels back up to, you know what I mean?
Yep.
But I know when I'm doing too, I can definitely feel when I'm doing too much.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to that. Like the charts, I actually get, I think, more adrenaline from the charts than anything. Like even when I'm not in a trade, I mean,
It's
obviously,
therapeutic. Yeah.
yeah, it's cool. It's like sometimes I won't even be in, and I'm just watching the charts move, and like that's enough, man. It's really cool to, and like seeing confirmation get hit and seeing confluence, and like, man.
Remy, what I'm waiting for right, I mean, we're just playing momentum, right? You're right that it feels 50-50. We're smack dab 50% in this range. This almost looks like a weekend trap at this point. Right? Your trap longs, trap shorts, but you know, it's obviously not the weekend yet. All we can say is on the 5-minute, the momentum is bullish, right? You've gotten over the 50. We're trying to invalidate this bear flag. As of right now, could have just been a deviation, move back to the top of the range. But it's one of those hurry up and wait scenarios, bro. And what I'm really focused on, side-eyeing this dominance. I'm trying not to look at it directly in the eye because I wanted to break that structure. And I know if I start focusing on it, it's just going to pump through bull market highs again. But if this can come down, then some of our alts can get a bit of a relief here. Especially if Bitcoin pumps. If Bitcoin pumps and this comes down, then we can dig ourselves out of some of these holes on alts. I'm just not expecting anything big from Bitcoin. Best case scenario, most bullish scenario that I have is that we dig through liquidations and they make an attempt to get to these sell walls to try to take all these Bitcoin back on the exchanges and trap longs. But more than that would be a push.
Yeah, this could be like a perfect inverted head and shoulders for Bitcoin, wouldn't it? So we get a relief from the alts.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing. That's what you off top mean for real.
I'd love to get out of this ETH position.
Yeah, money talk, exactly. It's the same chemicals. Right. So you can either use them to get, you can use them to get high or you can use them to medicate. It takes a lot of intentionality though and self-awareness to sort of play that game. Yeah, try.
Do you remember
Those ETF lined up are what I'm sort of looking for the possibility of an exciting summer. The problem is that the deadlines for them are all in October. So it would mean that the SEC would have to give a response before their deadline, which they've done before, right? They don't actually, they've done it before for traditional sort of listings, but not for crypto. But we have a crypto-friendly SEC now, right? Supposedly. So the hopium is that they start accepting some of these ETFs, and then we have like a altcoin ETF summer narrative that just pulls everything else up with it. But that it is hopium, right? We have to wait for that. And then if you want to sprinkle some more hopium on top of that, the 20% chance of a rate cut in July. But that's also an 80% chance that we don't get a cut. So let's make sure we look at that properly.
So are we gonna go to 109K?
Oh, I see what you. Okay, I see what you're talking about. Try.
Yo, quiet. We're going past that. Yo, quiet. Is that a typewriter you got there, like from 1950s?
Oh,
He's
hold
on
on.
an old
let me get
school
my
typewriter,
noise
bro.
suppression
I heard him move it to the right and change the whole line. He's like, tick it.
It sounds like it doesn't.
Always got a bucket of whiteout next to his typewriter.
Is it still going?
Yeah.
Oh, it's off.
Sounds like angry words too, bro. Who you fighting with?
Yeah, because Tip CC finally gave me my Solana that I tried to deposit a week ago.
Damn. That's better late than
When
never.
I type
right?
on K6, it makes that typewriter sound too when I'm entering.
Voice and video. I don't know. I can't put sensitivity.
All right, remember what I tell you guys about ranges. If this is a range, right? And this is going to be a deviation out of the range. Then coming back into the range, you tend to seek out the top. Right? Similar to what happened here. We had a deviation out of the range, stopping volume candle. Price comes back into the range, seeks out the top of the range.
I don't know how to make it go away.
How's your voice lower than the typing? Like, how does that work?
I don't know, dude. I just turned my microphone down.
Oh, that's probably what it is. Yeah.
Can you still hear
Nah, I can't hear the typing. You're just a little low now.
All right. Hold on. How about now?
Yeah, you're good.
No mouse either.
Nah, I can't hear anything.
Okay. Cool.
Yo, 50 cents offering homeboy, what, $250,000 to leave New York, the new governor or whatever.
Oh my God. Yeah, I saw that.
50 Cent is great, bro.
I love him.
I'm telling you, I strive to that level of pettiness. 50 Cent is like
It's awesome.
my spirit animal.
For real. Goals. Yeah, that new governor got pushed in there by the Clintons. Dude used to come to my parties. Straight up. He used to get lit. Yeah, I think I got some cards on him too.
Maybe there's a lawsuit in there somewhere.
I saw him get served. This one dude punched him in the face for acting up. I think he like was grabbing up on girls or something, like just doing something that he shouldn't have been doing. He got punched in the face. Union Square.
Sounds like a politician.
Yeah, he was like put his hand up a girl's skirt or something weird like that.
Yeah, dude.
Had a dubstep party.
Yeah, I've had a few interactions with some future or never made it to politicians at parties and stuff. And
Yeah, actually, I'm gonna look these people up, talk to them, get a campaign against this dude.
yeah,
Like, yeah, we remember. We remember you, dog. We remember you.
Yeah. I feel like they end up in politics because they stop getting away with it wherever else they are. That's the last bastion of being a creep.
Yeah, it'd be good money. We'll see. You know, Trump said he wants that crypto legislation on his desk ASAP. So let's just hope that he's putting that same sort of pressure across all departments, including the SEC.
Yeah, did you hear what Donald Trump said, that the Democrats are the ones who leaked the information on the perfect flight to the nuclear sites in Iran? They should be prosecuted, he said.
Bro, he was at the UN. He was at the UN having basically it was like a glaze fest, bro. Like the president of the UN was there and he's like, look, this mission would have never happened if it wasn't for Trump. Trump's the only one that can get this. Bro, all the things that Trump's ever wanted to hear, like all the accolades, right? All the acknowledgement, all the glaze he's ever wanted. And then he but listen, and then after all that, he spends like 15 minutes talking about Sleepy Joe. And I'm like, bro, just like this dude is living rent free in your head. Like you getting what you want, enjoy it. You know what I mean? Take your victory lap.
He's too much of a narcissist. He can't shut his mouth.
He's also pissed that Joe gave him too much money in NATO, and he's like, NATO, you guys, if you guys don't start, we're gonna stop giving you all this money because the U.S. is giving them the most money out of everyone.
Yeah, if you all don't start putting up 2 to 3% more to equal 5%, then something's got to change here.
Well, that's what they announced. That's what the dude was saying. He was like, look, I want to thank you, for bringing everybody up to 2%. And then they announced that on that day they were signing the 5% commitment. Right. So it's like, I don't know. It was an easy dunk. And it was just like,
he wasted it.
He wasted it. Yeah. You're talking to people who don't care. You're not even in America, bro. These people don't care about all that shit.
They don't. They should have done it. They don't. But he's probably doing it for American press too, and like trying to rub it in on Biden. But he's still, he's still part of the. He knows the deal. Like
Yeah.
he's controlled opposition, in my opinion. Like he could have made real change, and he knows some real things. Maybe he's gonna do it after his presidency, but I think he's got some information about like even 9/11 that if I was president of the United States, I would make some of those things public, and he has the power to.
I don't think he'll ever stop being disruptive to the traditional systems, even after he's president. So
Have a good night, Doug.
I think that's the final. That's the final test to me. I'm like, yo, if you're down to expose, all right, you're exposing stuff with JFK now that you got his son on board with you, or one of his nephews on board with you. But are you gonna try to expose what happened on 9/11? Are you part of the cover up?
I think everybody comes into the presidency thinking I'm gonna shine light on all this shit, and then you get there, and then you have meetings with the people who explain why these things are to remain secret, and then you just kind of shut up. You just kind of shut up about them.
Yeah.
Like the whole Fort Knox thing. Like, oh, we're gonna go on there. We're gonna audit all the gold. It hasn't been done in so many years. Every president has had the opportunity to get it. And then he went back to the office, and that little red phone in his desk rang. And he's like, let's have a little conversation about this Fort Knox thing. You don't even hear about that shit no more.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So when you know things like that and you're keeping hush hush, you become complicit. That's where I'm like, I don't trust anyone no more.
So Dbloc, if you got a minute, would you look at Jasmi for me? Because I'm wondering if this is a W.
I will always look at Jasmi.
Dude, everything across the map is forming a big W right now.
The one you're talking about right here?
1 hour, 15-ish.
On the daily?
No, even more local.
Yeah, on the out here.
Daily.
You'd be looking for that lower high. I mean, that higher low. Yeah. That W that you're looking at will be the base that gives you your W on a daily. You're talking about down in here.
Like at the very end of what looks like a flag there.
Yeah,
See
you're
that
down.
little.
Oh, you're even tighter, and you're
that
here.
Little tiny one, yeah.
Yeah.
I think I might have bottom ticked this, and I'm wondering if it's something that's worth holding on
That's
to
like
for a
what,
while,
0.382 retracement. Five.
It's a 0.5.
What the hell? Click.
You have to be on log.
Yeah,
you have to
it's
be
not.
on log scale.
Yeah. Still, it's not. Oh, okay. You're right. Sorry. Yeah, 382. I mean, it's decent, right? It's one of those if this then that. I would like a deeper, honestly, a bit of a deeper retracement though.
Well, that's my entry right there. So where you're just pointing. So like that, it's like my stop loss is also right there.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm wondering, should I see if it goes back to that previous high at least? Or like, I mean, I don't even know how long I wasn't planning on holding the trade very long, but.
Well, it's holding on the 382. So it could come up and grab. I'm pretty sure it left. No, it didn't. Well, it's not great that there's no vectors there. On the 1 hour, you can come up to like 13 too. Just gonna have to see if you can flip this bullish. Let's see where the fight is. 15-minute. Right, 15-minute, you're trying to drag your 13 over. 5-minute, you've already got bullish momentum.
So if that 13 gets dragged over, then it breaks a new high. Is that a W right there? Like,
yeah.
That would be a successful.
Mm-hmm.
So the measured move would be probably one of those previous highs, right?
It would be that vector that we were looking at on the hourly. You'd be taking these
Oh, the one
vectors
right
out.
there. Okay. Yeah, that is resistance too. So if it makes it up there, I'll probably just cut the trade there.
Yeah.
That one already got taken part way too, though, didn't it? So you see that green wick that's right next to it? It looks like it got halfway taken out.
Yeah.
The one higher up didn't, though.
This vector here is the only problem. If you can't get above your EMAs here, you'll come back and clear that vector. But that's why I said the fight right now is really on the 15. This is the closest time frame you can see to, you know, you're literally at the point where it needs to hold to pull that 13 over, or it's going to come back into the vector.
So should I put my stop loss right below the 50?
I mean, you know, nobody's dad.
Probably be a good bet to do that,
But me, no, if I was in this trade right now, my stop loss would still be underneath the wick. Right? We haven't held enough support. 13 hasn't even crossed, so it's not like you're breaking anything by coming down. You're just still betting on whether that's the bottom or not.
So what would cause you to change your mind and make sure you didn't round trip it?
Oh well, I don't always let price get to my stop loss. So sometimes I'll cut it. You know what I mean? If we come down into this range and you see that you're gonna, if we lose basically, stop loss is just my oh shit, you know. But if we lose like 1,274, we start coming down into this, it's probably gonna be pretty quick. Got some 100x liquidations right there.
Yeah, it looked like on the upside in the 5-minute there was some licks to the upside, and they weren't really as built out on the downside.
You want to do it easy, just take the 5-minute scalp strategy. Right? You're in the trade now. 13's above. If it crosses, you'd be getting out of the trade if you took this on the 5-minute. Right? That's when you get your bearish momentum flip. And then there's enough liquidations here, in my opinion, to bring you down into that zone. This is your line in the sand. That doesn't hold. Right? Basically just above daily open.
Yeah, maybe I'll just move my stop there, because if it does come down that low, then it's almost like definitely coming to get the vector.
Yeah. Yeah. You're at that point, you're in a trade that you didn't plan on taking. Right? You're like dealing with something that happened. All right, here we go. Finally.
Yeah, look, Bitcoin's going up, dominance is going down. I don't want to like.
No, that's you have to move. Yeah, you've got to take that into consideration too. It just sucks because you're really waiting for confirmation on everything. You're waiting for confirmation that dominance breaks the support. You're waiting for confirmation that we invalidate this bear flag. You're waiting for confirmation on Jasmi that we hold the 50. That's the hardest time, right? When you know there's action needs to be taken at some point coming up very soon, but you still haven't seen what you need to see yet. That's when you start trying to outthink yourself.
Well, on Jasmi, the daily open is right at 0.5 retracement.
Yeah.
From the low that I just made, so it's like I don't want to put it that high up, but I guess I'll just have to keep an eye on it. If it does lose the 50 on the 5-minute, though, I'll probably will cut it.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll look at Sol
Cool.
real quick. Sol's looking nice.
Thank you.
So we fell out of our range on Sol. Right? We came down to our psychological high on the hourly. So far, it looks nice. About to go through these liquidations, nice little short squeeze. As long as Bitcoin keeps going up and dominance breaks, if dominance breaks that support, we'll squeeze through this to 150 on Sol.
Oh, okay. So this dude Muhammad was talking snap on the Breakfast Club about 50 when he was talking about increasing taxes in New York for the wealthy people that make above $1 million per year to increase their tax by 2%. And he said something. He said, I know if 50 Cent is listening, he's not going to be happy about this. He tends to not like this tax policy, but I want to be very clear. This is about $20,000 a year. So that's why 50 went loose on him.
You don't say 50's name in public, bro. Where's this
Yeah,
guy
why'd you
been?
do that?
It could have been on purpose, bro. It could have been for the buzz, you know?
Yeah, but I like
But
the way
that's not an
50 talks.
enemy
He
you
was like,
want, bro. 50 got time.
yo, 50 went. Yeah, he said, where'd he come from? Whose friend is this? Like, whose man is this? Like, I'll give him $258,750 and a first class one-way ticket away from NY. That's funny.
You're welcome, Lucas. Right now, market maker's just been eating. When he gets into these ranges, right, it's like, okay, you guys want to be indecisive. Well, I can't sit around and not make any money while you guys are trying to figure out what you want to do. You know, so, I mean, he's been eating on all of these. Look, that vector got cleared. This vector got cleared. The vector he left down here got cleared. I mean, there hasn't been any unrecovered vectors in this entire move. All these vectors right here are about to get cleared. Dropped down, made all those positions, came back up, paid himself on everything. But people don't understand that as long as the sentiment is 50-50, market maker doesn't have to send you in any. They can make more than enough money going sideways. And that time-based capitulation eventually just sort of sets in. But right now, if we're talking about targets, there's money to be made here in that vector. There's money to be made here. And in between those two ranges, you've got all the gas you need to get there. Right, so it's a cheap ride. The problem is that there's liquidity to the downside, right? So market maker's giving you this bearish channel. So you're already priming retail for the idea of a drop, right? Which means when you do drop, like we did here, it's easier to get a fast move. Going up for these liquidations kills all that work. So the question is, what's the biggest benefit, right? The cost benefit analysis. Is there more money to be made to the top side for cheaper? Or is the biggest bag down underneath? In my opinion, we've already deviated out of the range. When you deviate out of the range, it's known that you go to the top of the range. There's liquidations above, there's vector gaps above. So it's about as cheap as it's been for market makers sentiment wise to move this up if he wanted to right now. That's why I'm looking for the break of the top of that bear flag as evidence. At this point, the most likely scenario is what the most likely scenario usually is, right? That the trend continues. So if we're in a range and we've just been doing this, then chances are if you deviate underneath and you come back in, you're just going to continue the range, right? Till something breaks. It's a little more obvious when you go to higher time frames. I think it's setting up for an interesting weekend trap though. Because me personally, if I was the market maker, I would go get it. I would go fill those orders. I would take all of this shit. I'm greedy. I'm not playing with nobody. I'm coming up for all of these orders and all these liquidations, and I'm coming down for all this liquidity. Right. Which means we go from pent up sort of low volatility to a snap. But just like every weekend, the question is it up or down first? Right? And tomorrow, just like every Friday, your number one job is to not get trapped. Whatever you got to do to not get trapped. Mike, I just read what you wrote about Eric. That's funny. You know what it is? When somebody's just TA, right? When everything starts and stops at technical analysis, they tend to be a lot better on legacy. You can kind of get away with that on legacy. You can kind of just pay attention to the revenue, pay attention to, certain metrics, and then just the charts and be fine. In crypto, if you don't have a grasp on sentiment, or if you don't have a grasp on sort of like narrative rotation, if you don't have a grasp on the 4-year cycle, it becomes difficult. Because some of the shit just doesn't make sense, right? Some of the shit that happens on the chart just doesn't make sense if you're not looking at those things. So I think Crown's a good TA guy. I just think he lacks on the fundamental and sentiment analysis side. But not everybody does everything, right? Some people are just really good at one thing. There's nothing wrong with that. What do they say? Jack of all trades, master of none. You know, people always leave out the last part of that saying, which I think is funny. Because they use that saying to mean, you know, it's better to just be, you know, a master of one thing than be just okay at a bunch of things. But the full saying is jack of all trades, master of none, but oftentimes better than the master of one. And they conveniently leave that last part out for some reason. Yeah. Yeah. There's an end to that phrase that everybody leaves out.
A lot of people leave out that fool me once, shame on.
Bro, I
You
can't
fool me
even, bro,
twice.
Bush screwed
I
that
don't
up for, bro, I can't even remember how that's supposed to go
George
anymore,
Bush
bro.
screwed it up.
Because he screwed it up for me. All I hear is his voice in my head now. You'll never fool me again.
Yeah, he like mumbled something. He's like, you can never fool me again.
He killed that, bro. He completely destroyed that phrase.
I still don't know it. I got to look it up. I don't feel like looking it up.
Nah, it's fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. But he butchered it, bro.
Oh, there's no third part? Like, fool me 3 times and I'll jump off a bridge or something like that?
He said, fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, you'll never fool me again.
You'll never fool me again.
You'll never fool me again. Damn, we've
Yo,
had some characters as president.
Dude, yeah. Well, yo, he dodged that shoe. Remember when that dude threw that shoe?
Yeah.
I think he threw 2 shoes at him. He dodged both of them.
Ninja.
Yeah.
That's when I found out that that's like the utmost disrespect. I've thrown shoes at a couple of people after that. It became a thing.
Yeah, it's symbolic.
Carry around a couple extra shoes just to toss at people.
Nah, we used
Shoot
to
me
knock.
once.
We used to knock the old shoes off of with rocks. We used to knock the old shoes off of the power line, and then chase girls around the neighborhood with the old nasty ass shoe that's been hanging up there for a year and a half.
Put it up in their face.
Smell this one.
New York as a kid was wild, bro. Grew up quick. Just toying with us at this point.
Yeah, how are they gonna do that? They killed Marge Simpson.
What do you mean? On the show?
Yeah.
Nah.
Yeah, how are they gonna do that? That's sad.
How did she die?
Let me see. So
I'm sorry,
She jumped
I don't mean to
35 years.
laugh, but the sound of concern in your voice was so genuine. I want to know too, but it was funny. How did she die? That was great.
So Lisa referenced her to her late mother, but it's revealed that Homer Simpson is still very much alive and well. Lisa later. So they had an episode
Oh,
where they're
so
in
it's
the
a future. Okay, yeah, I got you.
Okay, I thought the voice actress actually died for it.
Christoph, we swept those liquidations under the range, but that stopping volume candle plus holding the range is just increasing bullish sentiment right now. We're almost halfway through the range, right? At this point, unless we reject on this bear flag, we'll probably end up going back to the top of the range and just destroying that pattern. That it only played out, what, like 50% of the move. I think it was the 200 on the 5-minute that caught it. Or the 800. 800 on the 5-minute. Brought an end to the Bears fun. I mean, we're having trouble with this resistance, right? But we are accumulating at resistance, which is usually a sign of another attempted breakout. We already had a failed auction above. But this looks like it wants to make another attempt. Once it gets into this vector gap, should be pretty quick, right? You start to get into these imbalances and you start to get into these liquidations, then you don't really need to count on the market to pump, right? It'll pump itself. Everybody was asking, why is S&P and everything at all-time highs and Bitcoin is down here? It's because we're 24 hours a day. Right? Remember that on Friday afternoon, we started getting the World War III scares. We spent the whole weekend dealing with, is it going to happen? When is it going to happen? And then finally on Sunday, we get the news that it already happened. And then Monday opens up into that sort of euphoria, right? The stock market never had to take that hit. We took it because we were open. Right, but that 2%, 3% drawdown everybody was expecting on Saturday night when markets opened, all that went away when we got the news. So that was a timing thing. Call it luck or call it, whatever you want to call it. Yeah. But even as late as like Saturday night, I would have bet that Legacy was going to be bloody when it opened up. And then Trump faked us all out by giving those 2 weeks. Remember, he was like, you have 2 weeks, blah, blah, blah. So we're like, okay, maybe this is going to be postponed. Until you looked at the actual tweet and it says you have within 2 weeks. It's like 2 weeks, 24 hours, potato, potato. But it was part of the misdirection, right? The fog of war, whatever you want to call it. The first sign for me was when oil futures opened up down. Right, and that was before. That's like
$6 a barrel down.
yeah, that's like before we knew for sure. So that was definitely some insider knowledge right there, right? That's like that was the canary in the coal mine. The only reason that oil futures would go down, literally the only reason for the price of a barrel to drop, is the fear of them sinking a tanker in the strait went away, right? The fear of them stopping that traffic. Yeah, you guys want to see some funny shit, you got to see the Houthis, right? They're the pirates that control that strait. I believe they're from Yemen, if I'm not mistaken, but mostly from the area. But these dudes are crazy, bro. They make Somalian pirates look like children. Like these dudes are attacking Navy destroyers, like little ragtag group. I was watching a whole video on it, and they say that they attack the destroyers all the time. They say the destroyers don't even do anything because they miss. Like they don't have any guided anything. They're just like shooting RPGs. They're pissing into the wind, basically, right? But it started to get bad because they started to disrupt shipping. So there's like a little mini war going on with the U.S. and the Houthis in the Strait. But the first thing I thought was that that's going to get out of control, right? If Iran jumps in and sinks a tanker in the Strait, in the most narrow part of the Strait, and backs up all of that traffic, the Houthis are going to have a field day. All right, we're getting that break. Let's see if we can get through this vector. We'll wait for this candle to close to invalidate this bear flag first.
If anyone's looking for shorts tomorrow on some stocks, General Motor just had a pretty big recall. Brakes are causing fires on a lot of cars.
Ouch.
Might have a good short tomorrow.
Yeah, that would be a big one.
Yeah, I was seeing that driving. It's a crazy story. Let's see how Circle ended up.
It popped up a little bit today.
Yeah, I saw that. And it put in a nice higher low here. We could be setting up for something. I might have to get me some more. Might have to get me some more. So we took out that first gap that we were aiming for, but we put in another one. Sets it up for a better downtrend. I'm just looking to play it again, man. I'm just looking to play it again. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Is that the Circle Star Energy?
No, this is USDC.
Oh, okay.
Well, we'll see. I'll see what this looks like. They could still come down through that gap. I would love to get a double tap. I mean, it hasn't failed me yet. Right? Falling wedge, double tap as support, breakout, falling wedge, double tap support, breakout, falling wedge. Question is, was this our double tap? Or does she come down for one more swing? Bullish engulfing on the 15-minute looks nice though. Yeah,
I'm looking to sell my Robinhood and dump it into Circle, but want to see the first few minutes of the market open in the morning.
Robinhood did well too. All right, we're invalidating that bear flag. Yeah, Robinhood's been doing good. That's probably not a bad rotation. Well, let's not get rid of it completely. I want to leave it there as a reachable moment. All right, we're digging through that vector gap now. That'll be mitigated at 173. But there's enough gas here in liquidations to get us to the next vector gap. We should get a green vector through the rest of this vector gap if market maker's down for this move. There we go, it's blue. Come on, just do it. Yeah, yeah. A lot of the, you know, what's crazy is, so a lot of the money that's coming in obviously has been from legacy, right? But they're buying ETFs and shit. They can't move their ETFs and buy altcoins, right? 'Cause they're not in stables. But what they can do is that they can play with some of these crypto companies, and that's what we're seeing, right? Some of these crypto companies on legacy, they're moving like altcoins. That's a good market maker.
Yeah, that was nice right there.
Now retail's got to come in and prove that they want to join this party. Market maker's already started it. He sent out the invitation. DJ's
Yeah,
there.
let's
Food's
go.
about to get delivered. Kegs are full. Will retail show up? That's the only question now. Retail does not show up. Market maker will turn around, take his deposit on the DJ, cancel the food order, and come back and pay himself on these vectors.
Come on, let's go. Let's go.
High def, I don't know how to break it to you, but we're all retail.
Right. We're all dumb money, huh?
You're not an institutional trader, you're retail. Question is, what level of, education are you? A educated retail, or are you, emotional trader retail? Party's open. Waiting by the door. Yeah, oh
Daly's
no,
already shown the bullish engulfing.
my base case is about 150. Base case is 150 to give a range, 150 to 175. But if I had to put money, I'd say 150. Bull case, meaning the U.S. buys Bitcoin and adds it to the strategic reserve, or we get some sort of no capital gains on retail. I mean, no capital gains on crypto. Then we could see 200.
Oh, come on, Trump. Give it to us. No
We're-
capital
Let's go.
gains.
We're
I'll
digging
be
through
doing
those
somersaults
liquidations
back.
now.
I'll be jumping off the walls.
It would make it real easy to know what to trade. Right, because I promise you, if that happens and there's no capital gains on American crypto companies, those will be the ones that you want. Your ROI immediately almost doubles just by trading something that you don't have to pay capital gains on. You know what I mean?
Keep hitting them liquidations. Come on.
Yeah, they're gonna eat through these. That's easy money.
Come on, baby. Come on.
Daly's already showing a bullish engulfing.
Yes, sir.
There's a line at the door. People are starting to file into the party. No, I usually sell during the bear market, Danny. Christoph, I'm looking for like 1079, just underneath 108. Yeah, it's hard to see what's in that big, beautiful bill. I don't know. I'm just going to wait until they actually release it and let us know. But it wouldn't be anything about crypto. What you're looking for in that bill is anything about capital gains on U.S. companies. And then crypto would fall underneath that. Right? But any sort of tax relief, capital gains relief on investments in U.S. companies, U.S.-based companies, is how the language would read, I would imagine. Yeah, we'll see. I was trying to follow it close for a while, but I'm like, you know what? I'm not gonna drive myself crazy. I'll wait till they get it together, let us know what's in it, and we'll figure it out then. The one good thing is that a lot of it is cross narrative, right? Some of these coins that we would consider for free capital gains, if they did it, American companies, right, are also on our narrative list for that altcoin strategic reserve. And they're also on our narrative list for ETF filings. So it's like you don't have to really invest in thinking there's not going to be capital gains. If you're just sort of playing the ETF filing narrative, the coins that you have in those bags are going to, you know, if that does happen, that's just extra catalyst on top of it. What's the IMF talking about, Matt? They're still complaining about Bitcoin. They're still big mad that their power is about to be stripped from them the next 20, 30 years. Think of the mentality, right, of opening a short position on this candle down here, right? Which is what happened. See where these lines start? That's where the position's opened, right? So imagine the mentality of opening a short position here, getting that quick rip down, or even more. Let's go to where most of them started, right here. You started your short position here. You got a quick rip down. Didn't take profits, right? Cool. But you rolled your short all the way back up to here, and then you're watching price slap you, and like I don't understand. Unless it's a hedge, I don't get that mentality. Oh, really, Matt? That is big news. Because they were coming down heavy on El Salvador.
What news?
Saying that the IMF integrates Bitcoin. I need to see what the language is, what they're talking about exactly, but I haven't heard them say anything nice about Bitcoin in a very long time, if ever.
Yeah, because they were stocking up. They were fighting while they were stocking up, just like Trump was.
I'll look into it. I'm going to go eat here in a minute, and I'll dig into it.
To me, it seemed obvious that tweet when Trump was like, Bitcoin is worthless. I was like, oh, someone in his camp is stocking up right now. He's doing them a favor.
Yeah. Reflecting. Let me fix that sentence for you. Because the International Monetary Fund has recently adjusted its approach to Bitcoin and other digital assets, reflecting their increased fear in the end of their dominance and hegemony.
So they're just admitting that they're getting ransacked right now.
But how are we going to control these countries if they have more money than we do? How will we ever tie them to generational subsistence loans if their Bitcoin is tripling?
Peer to peer, death of all of these fools.
Parang wala ka talaga din kasi talagang pakialam.
¿Qué?
Ghost, you got an open mic.
I had a feeling that was going to be Ghost.
Akin, sa checks. See, you have checks and then you don't have.
To the gulag he goes.
Yeah, I noticed they mix up English and whatever language he speaks. Like they mix up English in it a lot. There's a Thai or something.
Like Spanglish. But yeah.
He'll be speaking to his family like every fourth, fifth word is English.
Yeah, they better not treat it as legal tender. Oh my God, the day that they decide, listen, you guys have no idea what that means. The day that it's ever really deemed legal tender in this country, they can't tax you on it.
One of these, I mean, something's got to give. It's maybe not Bitcoin, but USDC or whatever new digital dollar they put out. They're gonna have to give it that stamp.
It needs to be something that increases in value, or it's meaningless to us. They just make a stable coin. What we want is something that, you know, your dollar used to go up in value when it was backed by gold, which meant that, you know, when all the old heads learned about saving, that's why saving made sense. Because it actually went up in value. It's hard to even think about a time where that was possible, you know what I mean? But now, denominating in Bitcoin, we can get back to those, back to that era, right? Some people have $20,000-$30,000 in the bank that's been sitting there for 10 years, 20 years. Just getting debased. We're not even talking about trading, right? At that point, it's just the concept of taking funds that you don't use and putting them somewhere that not only carries them into the future without debasement, but increases the purchasing power of them.
I was about to take profit here, but you know what? I'm gonna be patient. I'm gonna go outside. I'm gonna grab a smoke. I'll be right back.
Rodolfo, I've been saying that for the longest, bro. The country that wins this nation game theory is the one that just prints their dollar into the ground and buys as much Bitcoin with it as long as anybody's willing to give it any value. Like, imagine if we had some secret U.S. meeting that you had to be in the U.S. to attend, and they're like, look, guys, dollar's going to shit. Don't tell anybody else, right? Everybody still thinks it's valuable, but this is going to the garbage. So we're going to start printing as much of these as we can, and we're just going to buy Bitcoin. But don't tell anybody, because we still need the world to think that this shit is worth something. They'd be like, all right, cool, bet, we got you. That's how you win this Bitcoin game. It'll obviously be a smaller country that does it, but it will happen. Yeah, that's like that Mr. 100 bands. That wallet that's been buying 100 Bitcoin every day for the past 2-3 years. I have a really strong feeling that that's Qatar. There's very little countries, there's very little nation. It's obvious, it's definitely a nation state, but there's very little nation states that could keep up that sort of buy-in. Yeah, Christy, I have a small trade from stopping volume candle. Nothing big though. Just something to kill the monotony of the sitting here staring at the chart. I closed my overall Bitcoin position when we lost that that 50 on the 15. This is just like a little daily bread trade. Just enough to cover the Uber Eats. Maybe a little extra.
He said maybe a little extra.
Maybe a little extra. Yeah, the party's looking dead, man. Party's looking dead. A couple people came inside. They walked around. There was no girls, so they left. You know, beginning of parties could be kind of shaky. I was struggling earlier seeing games for a minute. I figured out what it is, though. On no sleep, too, which is, I'm impressed. My Ethernet, the Ethernet that comes on my motherboard, has got a known issue with it. Where after a while, it runs hot or something happens, and then your PC stops recognizing it. My PC has it listed as a whole different Ethernet. And the only driver that I can get for it is like 2021, so it's not handling the gig speed. So I just ordered a PCIe gig speed Ethernet connection thing.
Look where we're at since fucking Drew said, "Be right back."
Language, sir. Yeah, M2 is up in a straight line during this week on our overlay.
Yeah, Drew walked away because he didn't want to take profit. He was like, I gotta walk away from this.
You gotta hack your brain sometimes, bro. I'm telling you, you have to know how your brain works. And if you gotta walk away, then you gotta walk away.
He said, "I'm taking a smoke. I gotta walk away for a minute."
Yeah.
Yeah, I do that when it's approaching my stop loss. I'm like, okay, I'm walking away. Like, I hope when I come back, I still have a position.
Sean, go get some fresh air real quick.
Sean, just remember that M2 going up just means that the overall liquidity underneath us, the underlying liquidity, is increasing at a rapid rate. But we did just come out of some bullshit, right? So there's sentiment that needs to be fixed. In my opinion, we wouldn't be holding up how we are if it wasn't for M2 pumping during this time. Right? If we were on a downtrend on M2 and we had sort of bearish sentiment, then it would get bad. Sometimes these liquidity pumps do more to control a price drop than they do to actually push price. You need both things at the same time to really get that move, right? You need bullish sentiment and you need strong liquidity stream underneath. That's where the fear came from, bands, from putting in that bearish divergence on the weekly, right? People are hesitant right now.
Hey, Dbloc, you said your network is overheating? Like you can add some fans to it maybe, or clear out some dust? Otherwise, check the motherboard page. They might have a BIOS file you could update.
Somebody trying to say
Yeah, he
something?
said something about it was his Ethernet. It was giving too much speed on his Ethernet on his motherboard.
It was too fast. Yep.
Oh, I can hear you now.
Yeah,
Nah. It's something about the ASRock motherboard, the Ethernet on it. It's got some sort of glitch. I found a bunch of people complaining about it.
Did you check that ASRock, the support page? They might have a BIOS update that fixes a lot of old hardware issues as it goes along.
I didn't check the BIOS update. I didn't check the BIOS update, but I updated their most recent driver. But it's old. It's like 2021. And then I found the new updated driver on. Yeah, I tried the new updated driver that they have on Intel. but it wouldn't let me. It wouldn't let me add it. It just kept telling me you have the best. You have the best driver for this.
If you saw it was a later date, you might want to clear out all the old one first from ASRock or wherever else.
What they were saying online and what AI said basically was that the issue that the ASRock has on the Ethernet board is physical, and what your PC is doing is preventative. So it's like a glitch where it's reading it as the wrong Ethernet, and it has something to do with how ASRock listed it. I don't know. I'm just gonna get a PCIe 1 gig internet and bypass it. Yeah, I'm just gonna bypass it. I don't have the time.
You might as well order the 2.5 or the, they have faster ones, just future proof.
Is it better?
You're right. Like my internet offers up to 2 gigs now. So like, say if they.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. So, I could get the 2.5 or the 5 gig, and it'll work fine. It's just a broader bandwidth that's possible. It's not gonna.
It's possible, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
If it's about the same price, I would.
Yeah.
So you think we're gonna go up and get these liquidations here, Dbloc?
I mean, it looks like the intention. It's cheap. It's a cheap move.
Right?
Yeah, it's a really cheap move. Like gasoline, right? Like just all you got to do is set the spark.
What about the other ones at 108?
They'll come get both. In my opinion, tomorrow they're gonna sweep. We would have swept both liquidations, probably these buy orders and these liquidations at some point tomorrow. I know it sounds like a crazy move, especially after coming sideways like this for so long, but
you heard it here.
It's what I would do.
It's like a head and shoulders pattern.
Yeah, exactly.
Sounds good to me before going into the weekend. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, he kind of laid that out earlier.
Wait a minute. So we're not going to 109?
I'm late. Sorry.
No, I'm saying those sell orders up there, I would want to grab that. Exchanges are hungry for Bitcoin right now. There's not a lot of Bitcoin on exchange. You start getting sell walls that look like that. Like, look, let's go back to see what they look like today.
Yeah, he's been saying this for a couple hours now that, I mean, this is a perfect setup to go get them.
Let's see what's up above. Yeah, like look at these sell walls above.
Hopefully Asia, if Asia's setting a trend above, or Asia's setting a trend up, then UK should follow them, right?
Well, Asia should set a range, and then UK reacts off of that. When Asia sets a trend, the UK tends to range. But Asia doesn't normally tend to
Been ranging for 48 hours.
Doesn't tend to trend. It is today though. Like this is probably well above what is normal for Asia. What are we at right now? Oh no, we're still at 1%. That's nothing. Asian range will be between like 1%, 1.5%, but they tend to come back and range, right? So we still have the rest of Asian session. If they do trend for the most part, if they do trend for the most part, UK will come in and set a range. Yeah, see, they went up, came back down. UK didn't hold the 50. So they trended in one direction for the entire session. That's the one thing that you want to pay attention to UK. The reason that we say UK is a really good session to trade is because for the most part, it goes in one direction for its entire session. A little bit of volatility in the beginning to figure out, but once it gets going, it tends to stick to that. And then US comes in, like we said, and does whatever they want, right? We throw temper tantrums. What's interesting is to
Well,
see how
tomorrow-
flat this ran during the dead gap zone. Right? Market makers on algos right here. Very easy for whales to push price when you're in between sessions. Yet we just ranged. And then Asia came in.
Quick sweep of the lows.
Mm-hmm.
Right back up.
Asia comes in. I told you it's like mom coming in to clean up all the mess that's left overnight or that's left in the the session. We had tons of
You
liquidations
guys were
here.
supposed to go down here. Here, let me show you.
No. You guys made a mess. All right, we'll clean that up.
And it's all cleaned up. Let's go get the mess on the other side now.
All right, I'm putting off my dinner for too long here.
So tomorrow's Friday.
Yeah.
People usually sell off on Friday, so I'm wondering if we just pump and like up until like early in the morning, and then we sell off like right before market open or something.
Our job going into Friday is to figure out if the longs or shorts have been trapped yet, and then to not get caught up in those traps if they haven't.
It kind of feels like the ones that are getting trapped are shorts.
It's possible that the shorts have already been trapped here. Right? It's possible that they came down, they trapped the shorts. Now we grind up. Oh, well, I didn't mean to do that, but also a possibility. We grind up, grab these guys, trapping longs, and then come back down from that sell off and go into our weekend trap.
That'd be freaking sweet. Then I don't have to trade for the whole weekend, because if we go up like that, then my trade's gonna be styling. I'm just gonna take profit and then I'm done. Not trade this weekend.
The trick is to not to fall into the we're going to all-time highs FOMO that we're going to get if we do come up into these ranges. Because that's what's going to trap people.
I think that's about as high as we go in Bitcoin. But the S&P and NASDAQ are pushing all-time highs right now.
Yeah,
So
no, it's crazy.
might be in price discovery by the morning.
Crazy, crazy, crazy.
Yeah, they were very close today. So
Like everybody's screaming at Powell, you need to cut rates, you're killing us. S&P all-time high, NASDAQ all-time high, NVIDIA all-time high.
You're killing all the people that don't have extra money to invest.
Just like if you guys would stop throwing parties, you know. Yeah, I slept a little bit, Sin.
yeah,
Well, it's like
Yeah.
he's trying to cut rates to save people, right? It's like, who needs to be saved? He's like, look at the market. What do I need to save right now?
The truth is, and Trump said it the other day, is that cutting 25%, a 25% basis point cut is the difference between them paying $300 billion on repayments for debt. Right, so we're getting to the point where we got to make our payments on our debt, and with the rates the way they are, it ends up costing us more. So aside from the stock market doing amazing, which it's already doing, that's really what Trump is worried about. He was saying it yesterday on the news. He's going to cost us so much money. He's such an idiot.
he did say that. He's
Thank you for
an
what you do.
incompetent idiot.
Super chat. I appreciate
crazy
you,
that-
Serbo. W super chat, brother. Appreciate the love. You know, it scares you when you start to listen to him talk about it, because what he literally said was just cut the rates. If inflation comes back, just raise the rates. But do you have any idea what that would do to our bags? If he was to cut the rates and inflation comes back and we get a rate hike, bro, it's over. We might as well just pack it up. So it's like while Powell is boring, you know, and moves too slow, with him you don't have to worry about it. Once the decision is made, it's gonna be made. Right? He already made it. He already messed up once when he cut rates before the elections. And that probably has a lot to do with this. For all we know, he gave into some pressure. He cut rates before he thought was time. Exactly what he thought was going to happen happened. Right? Inflation came back. So he's not going to do it again.
Yeah, but what if he cuts the rates and everybody goes mad spending and again inflation goes up?
That's the fear. That's why you have to do it at the right time. And the problem with that isn't the whole it going up and down in our bags. What happens with that is that people lose faith in the Fed. And I don't mean people like people on Twitter that are screaming and, you know, whatever, you know. I'm talking about investors, right? If you lose faith in the Fed, what ends up happening is that you lose faith that they can control a recession, that they can stop a recession from happening. So what do? You take all your money and you squirrel it away, right? You cash out, you put all your money on the side, you don't spend any money because you're going into a recession, you're going into some hard times. And then that accelerates the problem. Then it's like a snowball effect, right? His mentor did exactly the same thing in the 70s, right? When Volkner did it, and it put us through long sort of entrenched recession. That's just one of the lessons. I mean, imagine if your mentor was in the same situation as you, made the same mistake. You learn the lessons from it happening. Chances are you're probably not going to do the same thing. Especially when you already screwed up during COVID by telling people that inflation was transitory. And this is your last sort of run at this. For me, this has always been a legacy play for him.
So then the only way he's gonna cut rates is when legacy everything has dumped significantly.
Or unemployment, right? That's why they're focused on unemployment right now. Right? Unemployment can push it. And it's not that it's not time, right? Like most economists agree that we're right around the time to cut rates. And Powell himself even said that, and I agree with it 1000%, that if it wasn't for the tariffs, they probably would have already done it. It's the uncertainty of the effect on inflation that tariffs are going to bring. Remember, we still don't know what the tariffs are. Right? We had them announced, we had them put up, we had them put down, we had them paused, we had a trade war. We still have no idea what they are. The pause is finished, what, on the 9th? And then hopefully we'll have something in paper, in stone, that says this person pays this, this person pays this, this person pays this. And then the Fed can take that data for use their forward guidance and say, okay, this is going to have this effect on inflation, and we need to cut now to keep that from happening, or we don't need to cut yet, or whatever. But without that data, right, you're asking them to make a decision on data that's not complete yet.
Yeah, but with Trump around, I mean, big events are like everyday news. Something or the other is always gonna keep happening. You know, I mean, so that means he has to always be on the tenterhooks. That means he's gonna, play it safe. That means he's never going to cut.
We'll see how it works out. Trust me, I would have loved to be further along the line than we are already.
I mean, that's what they all are saying, right? I mean, this year is the bull run, and next year, because of this whole thing, it's gonna be recession.
Well, the one thing that stays true in U.S. politics is when we come to election time, the stock market is doing well, right? Trump's focus here has to make sure that the stock market's still doing well, risk assets are still doing well, 401ks look good when midterms come around, so that you don't lose control of, the House and the Senate. All right,
I
I
mean,
gotta
that's
go
what I'm
grab
saying.
my
So
food, guys.
if everything looks so hunky dory during the next year in terms of because of the elections, that means Powell's not gonna be forced to cut the rates at all. Why will he cut rates?
Yeah, yeah. But if everything's looking good, then we should at least be moving in the right direction. We'll see. I'm gonna go eat, guys. I'll be back. It's midnight. I'm just now having lunch or dinner, whatever you want to call it. I'll be back in a
Yeah,
bit.
brother, enjoy.
In this life, I can't get rich. Nigga, the cops outside. Lock up the house. You get the team on. Got a link in, bro. Met her at the ballroom. Should be a 10 if it weren't for the accent. If you're wondering what's the attraction.
Hey, whoever's got music on in the background, you need to stop. You got an open mic. You gotta close your mic because music will come through on the YouTube channel, so you gotta stop.
Zero.
I mean, where the fuck should I really even start? I got hoes that
Is
I'm
it you,
keeping in the dark.
Steven?
No,
I
it's
mean, where
zero.
where the
Might
fuck
be
should I
zero.
really even start? I got hoes that I'm keeping in the dark.
Thank you to whoever did that. Did it sound like me?
No, I just saw you light up at the same time,
Yeah,
so
no,
I
I
didn't
was
know.
trying to get
I didn't see
attention.
who it was that lit up.
You don't know. Glad it wasn't anything embarrassing. Actually, that'd be kind of fun.
Well, if you have music that comes through the YouTube, you get
I know.
copyright strike.
I know. Right away. Yeah. That happened all the time in the past, remember?
Yeah.
He tried to get it.